Panelists, take heart. I think the end is near. It's coming close here, okay? And please forgive the lack of attendance by some of us on the front end. I, for one, am still struggling with the multiple committees at the same time, and so please know that wasn't rudeness. My question, and I'll probably address this to Ms. Turner because I know some of this has been covered, and I'm going to shorten things up because Mr. Watkins hit part of that. But in our state of Idaho, 2012, I think it was, I believe we were the only state with Republican leadership in the House, the Senate, and the governor's office that embraced the state-based exchange. And I was in the Senate leadership role at that time, and in hindsight, it just hasn't worked out well for us. Our insurance premiums across the board have averaged somewhere between a 15 and a 27% per year increase. And so as we speak right now in our state, there's a lot of things on the table that are being discussed right now, alternatives to try to figure out a better path. And I would just like to get your counsel, your input on some of those things, and I'll just list a few, but the expansion of HSAs, medical memberships, Medi-Share, charity care, the expansion of insurance procurement across state lines, which in our state we can't do, high-risk pool reform, those types of things, which are they're more market-based, and given our history and our struggle with the status quo that there is, your thoughts, your counsel on that type of an approach.
States do talk about the difficulty of figuring out how to address the needs of their state, but it's even more than the state. It's sometimes at a county level. You have rural counties who have very different problems than Cincinnati and Canton and Cleveland. So they really need to have the resources and the flexibility to meet the needs of those areas. And I want to really reinforce what Dr. Gupta was saying about the social determinants of health. We put so much money just into health care when people may actually need other kinds of supports to make their lives work better. And I believe that Ohio is one of the states that is implementing work requirements as well for Medicaid. And people who work with these communities say that's a valuable thing to make sure that people have some place to go once they get through rehabilitation treatment, to have a job, something to give stability to their life, help them with housing. If states had more flexibility, and I believe the Trump administration is working to do that, as we've said before, Congress has repeatedly voted for money to dedicate money to high-risk pools. Many states that were doing high-risk pools in the past were doing it all with state money. With the ACA, there's new money to put on the table to make those risk pools work better so that you can provide dedicated resources for them and more comprehensive care for chronic conditions. So care management for those high-end patients, being able to have more flexibility to provide the kinds of benefit structures that people actually want to purchase to protect themselves and their families, I think are really crucial. And hopefully we can work with Ohio and other states in trying to think about what some of those waiver options might be to make it work better for your state.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Quick follow-up, and I'll thank you. Ms. Turner, in a few words, because I'm going to yield my time here in just a second, but that makes sense. But when it comes right down to it, should we be focusing on solutions that come out of this room and out of this building and out of the building next door? Or should we be focusing on more enabling market-based solutions to try to improve our situation?
We see in Medicare Advantage, for example, that market-based solutions to provide more comprehensive care, and I believe it is really based upon a formula very close to what traditional Medicare pays for Medicare Advantage, can give incentives to begin to find the same kinds of cost efficiencies in the health sector that we see in other sectors of the economy. When you have so much of the time of healthcare providers and administrators focused on following Washington's rules rather than figuring out what's best for the patient and what's best for our state, then it really takes away time and energy from solving the problem.
Thank you, panelists. Ms. Turner, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.